Hello everybody and welcome back to Dante Armorous Gaming and Tech News Update episode 6. We are going to be having a look at the retested results of Intel's i9-9900k CPU tested by Principal Technologies. If you haven't seen the first part, then please do click up here in the right hand side on the info card, check out episode 5, and it will basically show you what was happened 3 days ago to what's happening now. I'm going to be referring to Principal Technologies as PT because it is easier. So anyway, getting back to the task at hand, and as I said 3 days ago, PT released some benchmarks that were a little questionable, shall we say. Things like Total Warhammer and Ashes of the Singularity looked a bit odd and out of place, and as we went through these and had a look at them, we started to realise that PT had botched the results. There was too many variables that could have been cut down to basically give a better result, of which they have now gone and redone. And I didn't think they were actually going to come back out and release any updated results. I thought they were either going to just let the third parties get on with it, or they were going to release it at the same time. No one knew, and well, here we are with some updated results before the 19th, which is when the NDA on the i9-9900k reviews can be released by the likes of, I think, Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unboxed, maybe even Jay's 2 cents. I'm pretty sure he will have one. So if you want them, they are on my YouTube channel. You can go over there and check them out. Pretty good guys. Love their content. But anyway, getting back to it, in my mind, PT didn't do a great job. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an AMD fanboy, which I'm not, but things didn't seem right, as I said, and I don't like people being misled, especially consumers. It just leaves a sour taste, and especially in my mouth, because if I went out and bought something on these claims then, and it didn't add up, I would be pretty miffed as well. So, moving on, testing-wise, it's still not 100%. It's not apples to apples. The Noctua fan is still on the Intel CPUs. They have replaced the Threadripper fans or CPU fan with a Noctua TR4. So great, they are getting better. But the 2700X is still being tested on its stock cooler, which is putting it at still a disadvantage. I'm just going to bring up this picture now to remind you, this was in the other video, that at the time that they tested and released these, the 2700X was being run in game mode, and which was basically, it disables half your cores, so it's basically a quad core. Again, I would have changed that. I would run it at its full capacity in creator mode, which they have now gone back and done, which we will have a look at. The tests are not exactly the same as well. There are a bit of a mix-up within these tests. One, because I think there was a Windows update in between, Fortnite had an update, and also the 8700K looks like it's also been boosted, whether or not that's the XMP profile, or they've adjusted a few other settings in the BIOS, but it looks a little bit beefier than it did before. So again, gonna take a view on this and basically see where it is. So like I said, they had to rerun Ashes of the Singularity in Fortnite, and when they ran Ashes of the Singularity, they actually this time run it in Crazy, not the high preset it was before, so that's probably going to give it a little bit more of a boost than before, but I don't think it gave that much of a boost, shall we say. Not only that, is obviously, like in the other video, take everything with a pinch of salt and do your research, and I'll tell you why at the end of this video. But let's jump on over to basically the charts that I have made. So that is the wrong one. We want this one. So this is game mode. So this is the original test that PT had done on the i9-9900k versus the 2700X. So as you can see, 3 games out of 22, so Ashes of the Singularity, Total Warhammer, Counter-Strike, you can loosely count, as being running at 50% faster. However, in these tests, it looks like it's more of an average of 25% faster at game mode, and only 3 running at 50% faster. So there's one false claim of where Intel said our CPU is 50% faster than the 2700X. It is, but only in 3 games. So with how many are out there, you can't really count it. Looking at that, however, like I said, their results are not correct. And like I said, Ryzen, the 2700X was running in game mode, so 4 cores, not 8. Which is then why we jump on over to the creator mode. So this is the 2700X running in creator mode. It's now only an average, the Intel is only an average of 17% faster, with the anomaly of Counter-Strike Global Offense, which can be run on a potato of a PC. I've got an LGA 1156 set over there, which I will wanting to be doing some tests with later on, and it'll run on that perfectly fine at about 125 frames a second, I think it was, but that's for another video later on. But nothing really more than 30%. So I think after I did the last video, I looked at it, I think I worked out that it was about 54-55% overall faster, whereas now I've worked out to be around about 29-30% faster on the Intel over the 2700X, which is a massive difference. It's between 25 and 27% slower than it was in its original testing, where I showed you the chart just a minute ago at game mode. So Intel have lost a massive percentage there because AMD have now, or the AMD processor is now being tested at least somewhat more reliable than it was before. Again, we don't know what other things they put in there, but it is a little bit better. On average, over the game mode and creator mode, Intel has dropped 8%. Now, 8% doesn't sound a great deal, but over 22 games that we see here, it's a massive difference. Absolutely huge. 8% of anything is big when you're looking at it, but when it comes to, frames and people claiming that their processor or their product is greater than anything else out there on the market, and we see results like this and it's technically not as amazing as we first thought, it's a bit misleading. And Intel paid PT to do these tests. So basically Intel put their name in somebody else's hands, and that person didn't do it correctly, yet Intel commissioned it. They put it on their press room, they released it on their website, they were saying it's the best processor, the best gaming processor ever, and they validated it. They said they validated it and it was matching their results. Yes, but it wasn't correct. And it still isn't correct now, but it's better than it was. It's more realistic than it was previously, because they are starting to test the hardware in taking out the variables. Taking out the variables that were there before, that they have control over, and have taken some of them out. Not all of them. Like I said, the 2700X is still on the stock air cooler, but they've taken out some of the variables, and they're actually starting to test it properly. Which is then when we lead on over to the actual benchmarking results. So here are the new results, via Principal Technologies. This is the updated version, and as you can see before, Ashes of the Singularity is running at 50. Well, the Intel CPU is running at 57% faster than AMD's 2700X in game mode. But look what happens when you turn on creator mode. Intel's CPU is only 18% faster. Not a great deal. Look at the massive jumps. 41 on Assassin's Creed Origins, down to 12. 50% on Counter-Strike, down to 48. Again, can't really use that as a, oh, look at me, it's great. Total Warhammer, 52, down to 18. So, because they're starting to do the benchmarks properly, or at least somewhat starting to do them properly, you can see Intel's chip isn't as great as first thought. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be an amazing chip by the looks of things. Still going to have that best gaming processor ever tag on it. Well, for the time being until something else is released. Yes, because AMD, don't get me wrong, isn't great at making a chip that runs at 5 gigahertz like Intel can. Intel, you have the overclocking ability. The gigahertz on your chips can go higher. The frequency is there. You've always had that. You've always been better at gaming. AMD is very, very good at aiming at content creators and people that have big workloads. It's not amazing. It's not like absolutely outstanding at gaming. It's good, but it will never be as good as Intel at present. But what really gets me is, in my line of work, if I mislead somebody, they can take legal action on me. Yet these big corporates, nothing happens. They've so far misled everybody by the 50% faster tagline, and we've just shown it's not. But what will happen? Will anything happen? Probably not. But this is then where Intel bring out their apology. And they have listened, so like it says in here, given the feedback from the tech community, we are pleased that Principal Technologies ran additional tests. Well, yeah, we're all pleased that they ran the tests because they're now starting to run them a bit more realistic and taking out the variables, as I said, than they did before. So they're actually starting to do their job, not correctly, but they're starting to take it a bit more serious. They've now published these results along with even more detail on the configuration used with the rationale. That's brilliant because we would want to see that. We want to see what they have changed. The results continue to show that the 9th gen Intel Core TM i9-9900k is the world's best gaming processor. We never doubted that, Intel. Like I've just explained, your chips are amazing at gaming. There's no need to go, it's the best gaming CPU ever. We're not going to expect anything less. But what we didn't want was this mark put on your brand by paying somebody else to do the benchmarks and not doing them correctly. So yeah, thanks for the apology, but the damage kind of already has been done. We are thankful for Principal Technologies' time and transparency throughout this process. Well, yeah. You paid them, but yeah, thanking them for the work that they've done. Yeah, anybody should get thanks for the work they've done. We always appreciate feedback from the tech community and are looking forward to comprehensive third-party reviews coming out on the 19th of October. Well, so's every other consumer out there. I can't wait to see these new reviews from the third parties. Like I said, Jay's 2 Cents, Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unboxed, Linus Tech Tips, UFD, people like that. Their channels are big. Go over there and have a look at the i9-9900k reviews when they come out on the 19th. But I wouldn't pre-order anything. And I'm not saying that to put people off, but me personally, I don't pre-order anything, 1 until I've seen a review, and 2 until I've seen feedback. The reason being is this CPU from Intel is going to be around $530 or around about 515 Great British pounds. I don't know exactly what it works out at technically, but it's a big chunk of money to go and pre-order on the previous results. $530 for 50% faster CPU, where it turns out it's only actually 17% faster. Where's that other the other 33% gone? What, do we get the chipset 33% lower than what it's coming to market at? No, of course not. They're not going to do that. So why publish false results? And this is why AMD, in my previous video, which I will get up the stats now, if I can remember correctly. Sorry guys, I think I can't find it, but I think that the AMD had about a 65% market share over Intel in just September alone. And I think that's because AMD are actually honest. Don't get me wrong, they're cheap-ish. You know, they're not dirt cheap, but for what you get with AMD, sorry, is cheap compared to what Intel are giving us. AMD are making progress month in, month out, year in, year out. They are starting to bring us new technology. They're starting to get better performance with each generation that goes by. Intel's chip, the i9-9900k, is still running on a 14 nanometer plus, I think. Like I said in my last video, there's only so many pluses before you go into a negative, which I think we're now starting to see. And it's not a negative on the CPU, it's a negative on the way they've marketed it. But if I bring this up, this is the combined market share of just September. And I think that's what got to Intel, is they saw this, they saw that they're starting to lose consumers to the red side, to AMD, and they panicked. But you can pick up the 2700X, I think, for about $349 US, compared to $530 US for the 9900K. That's a massive difference. That's about $180 US difference. What could you do with that $180? Put it towards more hardware, put it towards a couple of nights out or a weekend, or $180 is a lot of money for false claims. A hell of a lot of money. But like I said, anything that these big corporates say, take with a pinch of salt. Don't pre-order until you've seen reviews. And then obviously don't order until you've seen the feedback. Obviously I can't tell you what to do, but personally, like I said, I will never pre-order anything until I've seen a review, until I've seen feedback. So I know what I'm going to be getting. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rant on the i9-9900k and Principles Technologies botched benchmarks previously. Like I said, they've now released benchmarks that look more reasonable and more realistic. If you haven't done so already, please do like, subscribe and share this page, and I shall see you all in the next video, whether it be tech news update or whether it be a review or a gameplay. Take care.